Hello everyone, this is Group 5 presenting the evaluation of study conducted by V. Peng Wu and O. Choi with the topic Transaction Cost, Social Capital and Firms, the Synergy Creation in Chinese Business Networks, an Integrated Approach, and representing how the study findings are applicable in a Canadian business setup. This study was conducted in Hong Kong. Moving further, I would also like to introduce all my team members. The first will be Favul, followed by Sadaf. The next will be Guinea, and myself, Chandana. Going forward, we will talk more about the objective. Our objective is to explore the connection between social capital and a company's synergy development and in international Canadian crude oil export networks that has been largely fulfilled. We will also take you further about the roadmap and the concepts that are going to come up. First will be the concepts, followed by the purpose of study, and then comes the hypothesis and findings, and finally we will do a deep dive into the Canadian company. Going further, we will talk about the concepts that are involved into the study. So we briefly explain and mention about the concepts of the study. In the following, we go through the purpose of the study, and next we explain the hypothesis and the findings of the paper. Finally, based on these findings, we give suggestions to how Canadian crude oil exports as our example can use this information to expand or maintain their operation on an international level. This is the gist of the roadmap that we actually told you. Going forward, we will also talk about the concepts one by one. The first one will be the synergy creation, which means that when two businesses work together, their union leads to be more profitable and competitive than when they do the business individually. If we want to make a simple example of synergy creation, assume a cave where one staff member can make 2 coffees in 1 minute, and when two staff members team up and start to work together, they can make 5 coffees instead of 4. It shows that when we work together as a team, we can act more efficiently. The next one is the TCE. The transaction costs are those associated with the exchange of goods and services beyond the actually monetary price of the goods and services themselves. Some examples of TCA are buy or make decisions, franchising, outsourcing, joint ventures, and so on. For example, assuming a franchise, when we consider the cost of coordinating and monitoring a franchise versus the cost of managing a company-owned branch. The social capital refers to the value we get from developing relationships and connections. We go further. In the following slide, we explain the purpose of the study. The purpose of the study is to evaluate how two theories of transaction cost economies and social capital impact synergy creation in the context of Chinese business network. Particularly, the study was conducted on 108 companies based in Hong Kong. We also, after this study, the purpose of the study, we will also go through the hypothesis and the findings of the paper. But before that, based on the previous studies, an integrated approach of these two theories is more balanced for studying intra-organizational relationships. To examine the relation between this integrated approach and synergy creation, 5 variables are used, including trust, transaction uncertainty, information sharing, repeat transaction, and ties with the government or financial institutions are also mentioned in the above study. So now my colleague Sadaf will take over for the forthcoming presentation. Thank you.
True hypothesis. But before that, it's a good idea to note that variables we are going to talk about are sort of tools to generate value in business partnership. For instance, repeat transaction help create successful routines and prevent opportunistic behavior. Close ties with government and financial institutions provide both direct and indirect benefits, such as referral opportunities. Trust is a key factor to reduce transaction costs and promote trade-offs, while low transaction uncertainty creates a stable environment for collaboration and resource exchange. Information sharing inside business network is critical for improving capabilities, lowering transaction costs, as well as generating synergy through increasing cooperation and collaborative operations. Since we have five independent variables, there are five hypotheses which we cover next slide.
We go through findings of the study. The results of the testing hypothesis are revealed in the table number 3 of the study. Based on the table, we can see hypothesis number 1 indicates a p-value of 0.32, which means the repeated transaction and synergy creation are significantly and positively related, as well as hypothesis number 2 with a p-value of 0.18 shows there is a significant and positive relationship between ties between government or financial institution and synergy creation. However, as we can see, there is no significant relationship between three other variables and synergy creation. Regarding these findings, we realize that businesses can be benefited from synergy in their business by repeating transactions with their partners and developing ties with government or financial institution. Other interesting results are regarding hypothesis number 3, 4, and 5, which shows trust, low uncertainty in transaction, or information sharing are not significant factors in creating synergy. A possible explanation for this can be the fact that although two partners have trust in each other and are pretty sure that they can do business and exchange information properly, only these factors do not provide opportunities and resources to create synergy. For example, a company A has a compatible and trustworthy relationship with company B, but due to the lack of proper and effective management, they are not able to create synergy. Now, the other group member, Kavinda, will take over.
Thank you, Sada. So moving on to the topic, we'll discuss a little about the company in focus and the industry as a whole. So Canada is the fourth largest crude oil producer in the whole world, producing 5.9% of the world's total crude oil supply. The majority of deposits are located in Western Canada, a sedimentary basin. If you see at the graph, you can see how much of an exponential growth the crude oil industry as a whole had achieved in the past 30 years from 1990 to 2019. This can be seen as a direct result of positive synergies and a positive relationship with the government. Our aim is to explore the connection between social capital and the company's synergy development in international Canadian crude oil export networks. The findings reveal that the engaging in repeating transactions with existing business partners and establishing ties with the government officers and financial institutions both positively contribute to firms' synergy creation. Moving on. Now let's take a look at how the government and the company engages with each other. So to start off with, a government gives a lot of subsidies and helping hands to these energy-related companies such as Enbridge. Industry Recovery Fund for 320 million subsidized the Newfoundland and Labrador's offshore oil industry. These projects were funded as a result of an agreement reached in September 2020 between the provincial and the federal governments to provide 320 million to support direct and indirect employment in provincial and oil and gas sector. Also, the way companies communicate with the government itself is by lobbying. If you go to the Office of Commissioner for Lobbying in Canada, we can see Enbridge's profile. And it says the federal departments or organizations which have been or will be communicating with the Enbridge spans from Finance Canada, Foreign Affairs, International Trade Canada, Human Resources Development Canada, Industry Canada, Natural Resources Canada, Transportation and Safety Board, and the importance is so much that even the Treasury Board of Canada Secretary and the Western Economic Diversification Canada group engages in lobbying communications with Enbridge. Also, they used informal communications, meetings, presentations, and so on and so forth, telling how close of a relationship the government and Enbridge and the oil and gas industry as a whole has with each other in the journey to create synergies. They talk about energy, the environment, government procurement industry, internal trade, and even international relations. This shows how a country's policy towards other countries is also influenced after synergy creation with oil and gas industries in Canada relating to its overseas operations. Since we've been talking about Enbridge a lot, let's take a look at what Enbridge is like. Enbridge is a leading multinational energy company in Canada, headquartered in Calgary, Alberta. Enbridge carries the values of safety, integrity, respect, sustainability, and high performance. If you take a closer look at Enbridge as an exporter in gas transmission and midstream, they export approximately 20% of natural gas consumed in the US, supplying natural gas to approximately 170 million people, as well as power generation facilities across the continent. If we look at how Enbridge can be related to our study, we can see having a good relationship with the government and financial institutions could encourage the government to make laws that could protect the company from any foreign competition that could be detrimental to revenue of the local companies. Also, having repeated transactions with the Canadian financial institutions can increase the confidence of banks to support your projects and be more willing to finance such projects, thereby increasing synergies between Enbridge and banks. Yeah. Moving on to take over the last bit of our presentation, I'll invite Samuel over. Thank you.
So my name is Samuel. I'll be taking up from where my colleague stopped, and I'll be talking about the existing project that Enbridge is doing in Canada and their export partners in the United States of America. Currently, they are working on Ridge Line expansion projects. This is a work that is going on in Texas. They are working with the authority of Tennessee Valley in Texas on a project that would provide affordable and clean energy for the utility customers. Those are the customers that patronize clean energy to power their houses and do everything domestically. Enbridge wants to expand the existing plants they have on the east of Tunis. Enbridge already has a plant in the US, and they want to continue to be a major exporter to this plant in the United States. This project is aimed at further reducing reliance on fossil plants. Further, we'll be talking about wood fiber LNG. It's another project that is ongoing in the United States. United States is the major export partner with Canada and Enbridge. So Enbridge is working on also jointly working with Pacific Energy Corporation Limited to expand their current floating storage in the United States to be able to deliver up to 2.1 million ton per year of energy to the floating export facility in the United States. And lastly, we'll be mentioning Ingleside Energy Center project. The Ingleside Energy Project Center is the largest crude oil storage and export terminal by volume in the United States. The terminal is strategically located also in Texas, with access to maritime waterfront, a gateway to international shipping link, and pipeline connectivity, making it a cost-effective location for storing and exporting crude oil for other products. So for the Ingleside Energy Center project layout, we have, as it is shown on our layout, we have 30 existing tank sites, and we have 4 new tanks in phase 6 project. Those are the ones that are worked on presently, and we have 5 approved tank sites that are for future tank places that Enbridge want to put their tanks. Then we can also see on this side proposed battery energy storage. That is where the Enbridge intend to put the battery for the sites to be running. And we also have a proposed ammonia processing facility. And lastly, we have a proposed solar project footprint. Thank you. So I'll also be talking on impact of synergy creation on the top exported products from Canada between 1990 and 2019. In the year 1990, we had 6 top products exported from Canada to the United States. A study over the years showed some changes in the products exported. In the year 2019, we now have a new entrance into the list. In the year 1990, we had 6 exported products, top export products, and in the year 2019, we compared the same 6 exported products. And instead of adding to it, we now have a new entrance while we lost 1. But what you have note is the growth in percentage of crude oil exported in the year 1990 to the percentage growth exported in the year 2019. According to our chart, we can see that the percentage growth from the year 1990, which was 4.1% of the total export, can be compared to what we now have in 2019, which is now 14.1% of total exports in terms of crude oil alone. And this is a proof of a good synergy between company and the government. Okay, so I'll be talking on Canada's share of US crude oil imports. Here we have the chart from 2015 to 2020. But considering this chart, although the US has been reducing their imports from the year 2017, but it is interesting to note that Canada has, on the other hand, been increasing their share of oil imports into the US from 42% that it was in the year 2017 to 57% in the year 2020. This is evidence of the synergy between companies and the country in Canada and as well in the United States. Now, finally, I would like to mention that wood fiber energy is the first project approved under the Canadian federal government's with 5 principles for environmental assessment, and has received all major federal, provincial, and First Nations approvals. And this is because they have a very good relationship, a strong synergy with the government. And here are our references. Thank you very much, sir, for your time.